Guys, I finally did it. I went to my first WWE show. What an experience. So yeah, I got to go to my first ever WWE live events where it was Friday Night SmackDown and Monday Night Raw, both at the O2, and oh my god, it was so good. So we'll go over Friday Night SmackDown first, and starting off with the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, and it was actually really surprising to see Randy Orton interrupt. That was so unexpected, and I feel like the whole crowd, the reaction of the crowd felt the same way.
I hear voices in my head, they come to me, they understand, they talk to me.
But the funny thing was, so when Randy and Cody were talking, most of the crowd were chanting for RKO, RKO. At one point, there was even a moment where half the crowd were chanting hug it out, and then the other half were chanting RKO. One person I need to shout out though, especially, is Drew McIntyre, because, I mean, on the mic, he is incredible. He's so good, just working the crowd, and you can tell that he does it off the cuff. He doesn't, or at least it seems like he doesn't have a script. He just kind of says it how it is and does it how he wants to. And yeah, Drew is just on another level to most of the other guys that are there. Then we had the United States Championship match, and the only thing I will say is last week on SmackDown, when we obviously had Strowman versus Jacob Fatu to determine a number one contender, I was actually really hoping that Jacob was going to win, because I kind of wanted to see him in a match. But nonetheless, we'll get on to Jacob in a second. The crowd absolutely loved LA Knight. Like, they went absolutely ballistic for him. I would even go as far as to say the crowd kind of actually turned a little bit on Braun Strowman, to be honest. There were a few moments there where Braun Strowman felt like he was a little bit of the heel in this scenario, especially being in the crowd. Like, I'm not sure on TV, I haven't really watched it back on TV, but when Jacob Fatu popped up, oh my god, that pop was insane. That was one of the loudest pops of the entire across both shows. Like, it was up there. And the one thing I will say is the crowd wanted Jacob to continuously hit that moonsault again and again and again, because he hit the first one and straight away the crowd was like, one more time. But then he hit the second one and it felt like the music, Jacob's music, was put on almost straight away. It felt almost like they wanted to cut off the crowd to stop the one more time chant. So it felt like maybe that segment was kind of a little bit shortened, maybe. And I'm not sure if that might be because of how long the Cody, Randy, Drew segment went on for. But yeah, the crowd definitely wanted to see more of Jacob Fatu, 100%. Then we move on to Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre. And this, I think, was my favourite match, possibly out of both shows. Especially on the single side of things, I would say, I think. Because Randy and Drew are on another level. Like, their performance, just to be able to react to the crowd and play up to the crowd, and yeah, it was so enticing, so entertaining, it was so good. Like, there's not many of the other superstars who I could say the same about during both shows. Like, I got to see a lot of superstars, which I'm very grateful for. But yeah, Drew and Randy, they deserve world titles, like both of them, definitely, 100%. Then we had the main event segment, which was the contract signing, and oh my god, the crowd throughout that entire thing was absolutely electric. Like, so loud. Like, the pop for Jacob was probably it was probably just as loud as the contract signing, but obviously during the contract signing, it was throughout virtually the whole thing. Like, there were moments where I couldn't even hear what, like, for example, Roman Reigns was saying, or Seth Rollins was saying, or CM Punk was saying. So this was one of the segments I had to go back and watch on TV because there was some bits that I missed. But yeah, Roman's entrance in real life gives you goosebumps, honestly. Like, incredible. Throwing the ones up for the OTC. But yeah, the crowd were definitely behind all three guys. But the interesting thing was they seemed to be behind Seth the least, which I found quite interesting. But yeah, they were definitely behind all three guys. There was no real booing of anyone or anything like that. Although I think there was a few people, at least in the part of the crowd that I was in, that were kind of booing Seth a little bit. But it wasn't like a majority or anything like that. And then when Punk got told he's going to main event WrestleMania, that pop was insane. Similar to the pop for Jacob Fatu. Like, that's how loud Jacob's pop was. Like, it was no joke. But yeah, that pop for CM Punk, incredible. And you could sense the emotion. Like, that felt real. Like, because he was in tears. It looked like even Paul Heyman was in tears as well. But I will have to say, I kind of feel a little bit sorry for Jey Uso, because that kind of makes me feel like, well, Jey won the Royal Rumble, and the Royal Rumble is supposed to be your main event WrestleMania. But now it seems like I don't think he's going to main event WrestleMania, because I don't see Cody and Cena not main eventing. And then if Punk, Seth and Roman are also main eventing, then obviously that's it. So yeah, I do feel a little bit sorry for Jey, but hopefully he gets his big win. I feel like he's going to get his big win. It feels like he has to at this point. But yeah, then the response from the crowd to Punk revealing that the favor was not actually the main event, it almost was like a big shock. Like, there was a gasp and then a bit of silence, almost like, wait, what? And then we move on to Monday Night Raw, and the show kicked off with none other than John Cena.
Cena sucks! Cena sucks!
Now, I'm not going to lie, this was probably maybe my favourite segment out of both shows, to be honest. Like, the way the crowd was reacting, and just to see these two performing on the mic and responding and manipulating the crowd, it was so good. Like, it was on the same level as probably Drew. Like, Drew was very good at that as well. But yeah, the whole crowd was definitely 50-50 with Cena when he came out. So it wasn't like the whole crowd was against him. It was definitely 50-50, because half the crowd were going, let's go Cena, Cena sucks. But the heat between these two, it felt very, very personal, and it felt really explosive as well. But it kind of slapped me in the face and took me off guard a little bit with how quickly they kind of got into it. Because especially Cody interrupting Cena straight away, I didn't expect that. And I don't think the crowd did either, because it was like we were expecting Cena to start talking, and boom, all of a sudden Cody's music hit. And yeah, the pop was insane again.
Lights go off and home. My father said.
But one thing I will say is very surprising to me, when Cena was talking first to Cody, the crowd was definitely turning on Cody. I don't know if that got picked up on TV, but especially as he was talking about going to WrestleMania and winning the 17th championship, like, of course, we're going to be happy if we see Cena win that 17th. It doesn't matter if he's a heel or not. Yeah, so I get it, but at the same time, I was shocked that how much the crowd were turning and siding with Cena. Because even when Cody started to respond to Cena, the crowd were actually booing him a little bit. I don't know if that was picked up on TV either, but yeah, there were loud boos, at least from where I was. It was quite shocking. But Cody, being the incredible performer he is, somehow, I don't even know how he did it, he managed to turn the crowd back onto his side. I think it's because he came back at Cena just as hard as Cena came at him. And finally getting to see some action between these two just put like the cherry on the top of the cake. The only thing I will say is I had a little bit of an inkling to maybe seeing The Rock appearing, But I feel like now looking back, that was probably me just being selfish and just wishful thinking, to be honest. But I will also say that I'm so proud and so privileged to have had the opportunity to witness John Cena in person on what is, it's going to be his last time in London, surely. I don't think they're coming back to London anytime this year, so I feel very, very lucky to have experienced that. Then we moved on into what is probably the most interesting match, I would say, out of both shows, which was Gunther versus Big Jimmy Uso. And first off, I want to start off by saying that Gunther's chops, they are loud as hell. Like, they are no joke. Like, you can hear them up in the top of the stands. Like, the seats that I was in was up on the stands at the front row of like the highest level. So it wasn't quite all the way at the back, but it was up there, and you could hear like almost every single chop. But one thing I will say about that match is it's more the aftermath, which was very interesting. But also after the match, when Gunther ran away after Jay came out, it felt like it was being very, very dragged along. Like, Jay was in the ring with Jimmy for a good few minutes after Gunther had left, and I've only just watched, or at least scanned through both shows just now, just before making this video, so I could kind of adjust my notes. But I wanted to mention this because being there at the show, it was kind of like, it kind of felt like it was being dragged out. But looking back now, it's because there was an ad break, and obviously when you're there, you don't realize that. But yeah, it definitely felt like it was being dragged out a little bit at that moment. But when Gunther returned to come back and attack both Jimmy and Jay, I think because it was dragged out like that, it kind of felt like that segment was pretty much done at this point. And then Gunther returning was a shock to everyone. Like, the whole crowd could obviously see him, and they reacted as soon as we could see him making his way back in. But yeah, it was definitely shocking. And then to see the escalation of how brutal Gunther became towards Jimmy, and yeah, it was insane. I think, didn't Gunther even powerbomb a security guard onto the steel steps? I think he did. And that was surprising as well. But then when Gunther covered himself in Jimmy's blood and licked it, I think that got shown on TV. The crowd was stunned and disgusted by that, to be honest. A lot of the crowd started chanting, "You sick f-." But then we moved into some tag team action, and we had Finn Balor and Dirty Dominic Mysterio versus Bron Breakker and Penta. Now, there are some entrances where in real life, they're just as good as they are on TV. And I've definitely realized that now after obviously being at these shows. But Bron Breakker and Penta's entrances are definitely up there as those types where it's just as intense as it is on TV in person. It feels the same, like it's incredible. So I'm super happy that I got to see Penta, Bron Breakker, Finn Balor all in the same ring. Dirty Dom, I'm actually happy that I got to see him as well, because Rey Mysterio, ever since I was young, he was always my favourite. But yeah, I guess I'll settle for Dirty Dom instead. He's still a Mysterio at the end of the day. And I want to actually say that Dirty Dom, his crowd manipulation is up there with like Randy, Drew, The Miz. Like, it's on another level to a lot of the other superstars. He seems so aware of his surroundings and the crowd and the chants, and he was able to react to virtually everything. Like, it was very good. There was even moments where the crowd were actually chanting for Dirty Dom, which, like, I didn't expect to witness that. I thought he was gonna be like the person with the most heat, but the next segment was definitely the person with the most heat. So then we moved on to AJ Styles and Logan Paul. So the pop for AJ Styles was incredible, and I knew it was going to be loud. I didn't realize just how loud it was going to be though. And AJ is one of my favorites, so I'm so happy that I got to see him. Obviously not in a match, but I'm going to take it regardless. But the boos for Logan Paul, oh my god, they were insanely loud. Like, couldn't even hear Logan talk. Like, I don't even remember what Logan said in his segment, like, to be honest, because yeah, like I said, the crowd was so loud. It felt, obviously I've never been there when Dirty Dominic Mysterio's been on the mic, but remember those times where he was so loud that or the crowd was so loud that he couldn't even speak. It kind of felt like that, but Logan, I don't think it was quite that loud, but Logan kind of just tried to talk over the crowd, which I guess he kind of probably had to do. But yeah, the kind of heat he was getting, it felt a lot more aggressive than any heat towards anyone else. Like any heat towards like Dirty Dom, for example, it felt like the crowd were being loud because they knew Dirty Dom is supposed to be a heel, so we're going to react and we're going to be loud for you because we enjoy how you work your character, kind of thing. Whereas when it came to Logan Paul, and it felt like it was more like, get the fuck out of our company heat, as opposed to actual heat for a character, more personal. But then we move on to the special guest referee match between Io Sky, Rhea Ripley, and Bianca Belair was that special guest referee. But one thing that really surprised me with this is it felt like a lot of the fans were against Bianca Belair, which kind of shocked me a little bit, I'm not going to lie. Definitely in this three-way, she's almost like the Seth Rollins in this one. So with Punk, Roman, and Seth, the crowd were kind of behind all three, but they were less behind Seth, and there were even some people booing Seth at certain points. But I feel like people were more against Bianca than they were even Seth. Like, it was actually a little bit shocking. But the crowd, when it came to Io Sky and Rhea Ripley, they were definitely 50-50 split down the middle. I'm not going to lie, I love both of them, but I enjoy Io Sky a little bit more, especially after the fact that it feels like she's been working her ass off this whole year, and finally seeing her with the world title, I didn't want to see her lose it that night, so I was fully behind her. Although I will say it kind of felt obvious how the match was going to end. At least for me, it felt like it was obvious there were going to be some kind of shenanigans, and it was going to be Bianca Belair who would be involved in that. And it was a little bit disappointing to see the match just kind of cut off like that, but I get it, because Bianca Belair kind of had to do that. Like, she kind of had to call the match. She'd been getting beaten up, and she's supposed to be the referee, so a normal human being is going to get frustrated and probably lash out and do something like that. So yeah, I get it, but it's just probably for my own selfish needs again, and selfish wants. I wanted to see more of the match. But yeah, happy to see Io Sky keep the title. She definitely deserves it, in my opinion, and I hope she walks out of WrestleMania with that championship as well. And yeah, it's pretty obvious that there's going to be a triple threat match here. So yeah, overall, incredible experience. Finally getting to see my first Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown. If you want to see some more videos like this, then maybe I can see what I can do. I can kind of try and come up with some ideas, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed. WWE 2K25 Universe Mode is coming soon. I'm in the process of editing the next video. I've had some issues with my PC overheating recently, so I do apologize for, again, the delay in the uploads, but I'm itching to go. I'm itching to get this series back and running. That's why I thought I'd do this video in the meantime. And yeah, I'll see you again soon with more Universe Mode. Take care and peace.